NFTs in ImmutableX. Wendy, over to you.
I'm excited about this, guys. And the reason why I'm excited about it is because I am very, very confident that the next bull run will be brought in by NFTs. And this is kind of an epic story that GameStop NFT marketplace goes live on blockchain ImmutableX. Do I like ImmutableX? I'm kind of indifferent about it, but it's really cool to see that how GameStop has evolved from this product, their service that wasn't really doing well, was going to completely go away. And then they had that whole Wall Street bets thing that happened. Then they're like, you know what? We love the power of crypto. We love the ethos. We're going to merge over into the blockchain world. But apparently the platform launched finally, and the partnership was announced back in February. And GameStop participated in a $500 million fund with investment grants from NFT game creators ImmutableX. But the NFT platform has been operating in public beta since July. And there's quite a few games on there that are pretty exciting. I would love to get Will's take on this. Are you excited about ImmutableX and GameStop? Are you for the people? Or are you just like, I don't care. I think this is just a bunch of hootenanny?
Yeah, I mean, GameStop is known for being a brick and mortar shop where no one goes. And now they've pivoted into a digital marketplace where nobody goes. So that's sort of my entire opinion on it at this point. Like, there's not that much going on in NFTs. It's a bear market. A lot of these corporations took forever to get their NFT marketplaces launched. Forever to get their NFT marketplaces launched. Took forever for them to build scaling solutions that were workable, so it was actually cheap to use them in the first place. And the reason for that is because the tech has not been there quite yet. And honestly, some of the tech is still not there and won't be there until the next bull cycle. That's often how these things happen, right? You have a launch, everyone gets hyped over a product, and then you find out that the product doesn't quite work the way you've marketed it or the way you want it to work, the way you intended it to work. And then everyone loses interest, all the token prices go back down, and we have another bear market with a lot of builders out there. And I think that's what we're going into with the NFT marketplaces. I think they all need like a little consolidation and a little time to work on their product before going back. That's what we're seeing when we look at all these NFT marketplaces. There's the race to the bottom with fees, getting rid of royalties, adding new integrations. I think that's what we're going to see for a little bit going forward. As for the GameStop news, I don't know. I'm a little bearish on GameStop. I think they've just been rotating from meme to meme ever since that Wall Street bets moment they had a few years ago. Adam, I'm going to throw it over to you, get your take on the story.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you on the rotating from meme to meme thing, but I'd like to put together a false equivalency here and just compare for a second kind of what GameStop is doing to what Facebook has been doing, what Meta has been doing with sort of the metaverse, right? These are both companies that had core business lines that are very different from the thing that they're working on right now. And I think the contrast between the two is quite interesting insofar as that, you know, GameStop came into this moment very, very weak. As you said, it's notorious for being a brick and mortar store where nobody goes in an age of sort of digital delivery and stuff like that. When I moved up to Oregon, I got, 500 megabit per second internet. And it's like, wow, I'm never going to a store again. But I did recently, actually, to finally pick up a PlayStation 5 because I couldn't find it anywhere else. And so I went and I finally picked one up after like a year and a half after it came out. So that was my first time going to GameStop in a long time. But contrast that against, against what we've seen out of Meta, who are making a very long-term, very speculative bet on this kind of amorphous concept that we call the metaverse. And again, like, it's not to say that metaverse won't be a thing, but it is to say that so far, it's not much of a thing. Most of the biggest projects that are out there don't really have many people who are using them. And if you look around, there are just there's got to be more than 1,000 different metaverse platforms at this point and technologies in one form or fashion that exist to serve a space that doesn't really exist yet. It reminds me a lot of virtual reality, which of course is another component of the metaverse. I've been an early adopter of all these technologies. Typically, that's a pretty lonely experience. Aren't a lot of people there in this stuff because it just doesn't make sense for normal people yet. So again, like, GameStop made a much safer bet here by going after something that was clearly trendy and clearly that there was money for, and that was what they needed. And so again, like, I think that bet is serving them a lot better than, the 75, 72%, whatever kind of loss Facebook has so far, Meta has so far logged, since they embarked on this path, coming from a real high point in their, platform and in their just power, and just diminishing all of that so rapidly, making this bet on something that might wind up to make them, rich geniuses, or they might wind up being, dumb idiots. And right now it's looking a lot more like the dumb idiot thing. Wendy?
But really considering the current landscape of the economy, like, we're in this recession, people don't necessarily have additional income to spend on this stuff. Like, what other option did GameStop have? Like they're a brick and mortar store. Nobody's going into brick and mortar stores. We came out of the panorama. Nobody was supposed to be out for like 2 years or whatever it was. So really, what other option did they have? They could have shut down shop, or they could have gone out there and fight. And I think that's what they're doing. As far as Facebook goes, merging over to Meta, same with them. Like people are starting to wake up to what is actually happening on social media about the terms of services. We have this big platform like TikTok that has completely taken so much of that market share from Facebook. And I feel like a lot of these companies did essentially have to pivot to keep afloat. And if Facebook didn't make this bet or this jump over into the metaverse, where else would they have gone? Like, it's an absolutely terrible platform. There's a lot of censorship. They steal your data. And I don't know. Will, your thoughts?
Okay, I'm going to take one shot at you before we end the show here. I think ImmutableX and GameStop, we know it's a meme story because of what GameStop did. Once they got this token allocation from ImmutableX, they actually dumped most of it for $47 million. This was back in February. And they were the dumpers. They sold all the token allocations they had for ImmutableX and then continued working on the partnership. They sold at the highs on everyone else in the market. So it's like, if that's your project, then why are you dumping all the tokens? Shouldn't you be holding those in the hopes of building out your ecosystem and using those tokens for allocations, for grants? But we didn't see that, right? And so that sort of action only implies to me that they were in it for the memes. They were in it for the rotation. They were in it to bump up their stock price even. That was a very possible reason to have some sort of NFT integration. We've seen a lot of that over the years where a company that's listed on a public exchange like the NASDAQ will go and work with some sort of blockchain technology or other application out there, increase its stock, and then cash out a little bit, give itself a little bit more cushion. So yes, we don't really know what the alternatives were for business lines for GameStop, but at the same time, this one didn't really seem like anything. And the markets are kind of close for NFTs at this point in the market. Wendy, I'll give it back to you right before we close though, in case you have any departing words.
The only departing word after you completely annihilated me verbally would be that we don't know we don't know exactly what the contract said, and that's an important thing. Is in crypto we're so quick to say, oh, you dumped or you did this or you did that, but in all actuality there are contracts, there are things that are being put into play legally. So maybe they were allowed, or maybe that was the agreement. Hey, if you partner with us, if you do X, Y, and Z, you are allowed to sell these tokens at however you want to. We haven't seen that contract, so I don't like to jump to conclusions until after seeing that stuff. Adam, I'm going to give it to you for either final thoughts or to close us out.
Yeah, so I'll just, I don't need to see the contract. All of the stories that we've talked about today, almost everything that we talk about on this show in general, it's all about money or it's all about power. And this time, it's definitely all about the money. Back to you, Will.
Definitely looked like it was about the money in this instance, but that's crypto. That's how it goes. That's why we're all here.